Welcome to part two of my conversation with Pranay Gunti, who's an independent candidate for Bowmanville Oshawa North. He has run before. He was active in the municipal election in 2022, federal by-election in 2024, and you'll see his many signs along the streets of Bowmanville, Curtis, and Oshawa North. Today's guest at Exit 425
in the main corridor of exit 425.
Local politicians to connect with families.
What are some unique challenges?
Thanks very much, Steve, for having me.
Exit 425. It's where we live. Pranay, welcome back to Exit 425. Thank you for meeting me here.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me here today.
Several local officials and non-government people have shared on Exit 425 the increased concern for the poor and homeless, with unhoused refugees complicating the situation even more. Are they connected, and how would you fix this?
As I emphasized during my by-election campaign as well, this needs a collaboration across all levels of government, local and federal and provincial too. So, just as an example, taking housing and newcomer support, these are not just federal or provincial issues. They are community-wide concerns that require joint action. So, raising housing costs, limited shelter space, and the lack of strong integration programs for newcomers are all part of the same complex equation. So that's why I strongly believe and strongly support a federal emergency housing strategy that responds immediate needs while also investing in long-term solutions, which includes like increasing funding for local shelters and transitioning housing, and like to ensure no one is left without a safe place to stay. And affordable housing initiatives tied to infrastructure funding and community growth, so growth plans. So we are building smart and sustainable um, s- ecosystem for that, and better integration pathways for newcomers. Like it's like, as I said, like there should be an equation like before accepting or taking an intake. So we calculate everything, right? Calculation plays a crucial role, like before getting people in, asking like them to move into a certain place. Like they need to assess the situation what exists, and whether that ecosystem has like that much, whether it can sustain like with whatever the amount of intake like that's happening for that particular region. So as I said, local and federal government should work hand in hand, and if there are any concerns, like that should be raised before happening, like not reactive, rather
Right.
proactive. So before getting things on this, and like it's better to gauge whether it has the capacity to accept more, and not just on a one-sided push system. Rather, like they need to pull the information from the local communities and the municipalities and understand like the ecosystem, and then that's how they should basically plan the things. And by working together like with all levels, together all levels of government, we can definitely build a inclusive, affordable, and resilient Bournemouth North Oshawa for everyone. So in the recent time, yeah, it's been like, as I said, like the balance is, there is not the right balance what we did see in the very recent times. So this is
Mhm.
something very important for the elected member of parliament to raise it and also have that measures in place.
I like how you use the analogy of the ecosystem, and it really is. And along that theme, again, we can look at uh, how to solve our housing issue as it's been presented to us. But it's an issue of reconciling our northern climate, the limited farmland, which is actually about 1/8 of what the USA has, food security, and the need to build more homes. So that's not a judgment on whether it's being done or whatever right now, but um, can you think of a creative solution that respects the capacity to grow food in terms of solving our housing situation?
So we cannot afford to pit housing against food. So these two are two essential things like in life. And for our survival and well-being. And definitely like they are not competing priorities, and for unfortunately, like yeah, we can't wait like which one is most important, but at the same time they both are very important. And as our communities grow, we must be smart about and how to and way to build like. And definitely like converting a fertile land into the housing spaces like doesn't make sense. At the same time, like it may be affordable for a short term solution, but in the long term, like that's going to have a negative impact. So we need a federal leadership like that embraces like the sustainable high density housing strategies like, and protects our agricultural land, and understands the food security is the national security. Basically, like it's time to invest in co-op housing. Like there are different models, right? Like co-op housing, modular builds, and urban infills and brownfield redevelopment. So we can look at this like this, rather than comparing it one-eighth of what US has. Like rather consider a country which has a limited land to do the agriculture, like to use it for the agriculture use, but still they are surviving and they are also leading like in terms of the initiatives, what innovative initiatives or innovative like the um, methodologies what they are practicing. Like let's say a few countries, like for sure they have a very limited amount of land where neither they can increase nor they, for sure they can convert it into other uses. But definitely like having the approaches like such and sustainable methods and models will definitely improve our capacity. And I really strongly believe that this is not an either or issue between the housing and food secure, like food security. Rather with smart planning and a bold policy, we can and must build homes and protect our farms at the same time.
It's a challenge, and I think again, Mr. Trump has you know raised our awareness of our vulnerabilities, and one of those things is that food security. So let's move on. Trade issues again with the USA have made us more appreciative of Canada for now, but also more aware of those vulnerabilities, such as food security. Uh, First of all, around jobs. Secondly, around energy, with renewed interest in an east-west pipeline. And then the question that I gave you included food security on this list. So, what do you want to see with these issues, particularly around the current issues and conflict with trade issues with the USA?
See, now it's time to reduce our over reliance on any single market. So definitely, like we for decades, Canada has been overly or heavily focused on US as our primary trading partner, while the US will always be an important ally. The global economy is shifting, so and Canada must adapt to it. Like so, we need to diversify our trade relationships and build new alliances and showcase Canada's technological advancements and industrial strengths on the world stage. So, which we have been recently like doing so, and definitely from clean energy to AI, agriculture to advanced manufacturing, Canada has a world class innovation to offer. So we must actively pursue international partnerships and which open doors for Canadian goods and services and talent as well. To build more resilient, forward-thinking economy, we must strengthen our economic independence through key strategies like in different areas like the jobs, like invest in Canadian manufacturing and skilled trades and emerging sectors like green technology and advanced robotics. So these are, as a tech guy, like definitely I want to drill down a bit into these areas, and we should be building things here, not just exporting raw materials and importing the finished goods. Like that's one key area where I see like there is a lot of room for us as a Canada as a country. And on energy side, like I support sustainable like east-west energy corridors that improve domestic supply of supply chains, but at the same time reducing like we should reduce interprovincial bottlenecks and accelerate the shift to renewables while ensuring energy affordability and reliability for all Canadians. So that's on the energy end. On trade, we must protect Canadian industries, like with the unfair US tariffs, like which that recently came into the picture, and assertive diplomacy and strategic trade agreements will definitely help Canada. And at the same time, we need to expand into the growing markets like Asia, Europe, and Africa to reduce vulnerability and to open new opportunities for our country. And food security, like as we just spoke, like a strong economy starts with well-fed nation. So that means like supporting our farmers and targeting subsidies, innovative grants. Like there are so many ways like how we could help farmers. And we should have a comprehensive national food strategy that prioritizes domestic food production and distribution. So in short, like economic independence is not about isolation. Like it's about our resilience, innovation, and putting Canadians' interests first in the rapidly changing world. Like we have been experiencing this almost from like at least from 6, 7, 8 years, like where we have learned lessons from the recent things in the that's happening around the world. And definitely like that's what I believe in. Like we should have that independence.
To extend your analogy of the ecosystem, a monoculture ecosystem isn't very strong, but a diversified ecosystem, one that has many different organisms and plants and beings in it, is strong. And so, depending on one country like the United States for so much of our trade without diversifying throughout the world, when there are now opportunities, and with technology, it's easier than ever to get oil and natural gas across the world. And I saw an interview recently with former Deputy Prime Minister John Manley, talking about things like let's get the oil and natural gas out of the ground, and especially the natural gas, and get around the world and use that to strengthen our economy while we make the shift to cleaner energy. So there's opportunities there, and again, diversification is the key. And maybe another lesson learned from Mr. Trump. Pranay, you cannot form a government. If everyone from your party gets elected, you're one. And so, what would you look for in terms of aligning yourself with a party on issues dealt with? Uh, I'm going to say that again because it didn't come out the way I wanted. You cannot form the government. Um, Even if your entire party gets elected, it's one of you. What would you look for in terms of aligning yourself with a party on issues that are dealt with by Parliament?
So I'll work with any party like that's willing to collaborate on the priorities of our constituents, like of our riding, especially like on any issues what we have just spoke. And definitely like I would based on like issue by issue rather than like being loyal to the party and just abide by what they want to how they want to see it as. And what is right, what's right, and what's not politically convenient, like I say. And being independent means my loyalty is to the constituents, not to the party. And I load, as I said, issue by issue. And definitely like if I get elected, um, I'll stand what's good for our riding and what's good for the country, just not for the, it's not for the party. And I can work with collectively with the MPs who have a common understanding, like and with the common goals, like and representing different ridings. And definitely with the parties too. Like I'm not saying I'll stay away from parties, but rather I work with them and make it better. And as an independent, I have a lot of edge on that factor because there is no, as I said, it's a neutral thing, right? Like how they look at us. And for me, what matters the most is what I can do more for the conscience and the riding, like which I represent, and on a whole to the country, like what's good. And unfortunately, like the same story repeats. And whenever an election is dropped, like the parties start promising like more than ever. Like, and if they could really promise those things just before the election, or if it is dropped, then why can't they consider doing the same thing during the terms between the elections? And definitely, like as I said, proactive and reactive. Like they are reactive in nature. When there is an election, that's when they try to start thinking like, what can I make it better? Until then, like it was like, okay, we have another 3 years, 4 years, 2 years, or whatever the term it is. They strongly take it as, okay, I need not to think anything more than what we have been doing from past 1 to 3 years. But all of a sudden they start thinking in the last year or just before the election. So if they could have invested this like whatever the time and effort, like in bringing up this new policies just before the elections, rather than now between the terms of the elections, they couldn't even really they shouldn't even really wouldn't bother about like what the results would be, and what more promises we can make, and what other parties are offering, and what we should offer more, and how can we make it better in terms of the results. So I strongly believe like this is exactly what, as an independent, I'm not here to play party politics or follow a pre-written script, or I'm here to represent the constituents, and on a whole, like what's good for Bowmanville and Oshawa North residents. So clearly see it as an edge being an independent rather than a party represented MP from our riding. Definitely, we do need to consider and look at those options, and we need to vote for whatever that's best for our community and the riding.
So you have the opportunity to pick and choose what's best for the constituents of your riding, and that's awesome. Pranay, any final thoughts, things that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about, the issues you want to raise?
See, before drilling down into the results, like would like to speak about the options what our country and the riding has, like, and definitely, like, yeah, people divide based on the parties. Like, unfortunately, that's how the landscape in our country is. But it's nothing wrong in looking at other option, like other than the top two or top three, whatever we have. Definitely, like you have seen that in last 10 years, it played a crucial role. Like the third party was able to balance and get the things whatever they want. Likewise, why shouldn't we look at an option like represent a constituent, a riding represented by an independent could do more better, and get better than like what parties could offer. Basically, like if you have an MP represented by a party, like it depends on his strength to fight for something. But if you have a representative who is independent, and definitely like all the parties in the current landscape wants to win their support, and we could get offered more like what we really deserve. So this is something what I want to speak about. And definitely, like we have a lot of issues, and US tariffs are something like which is taking a precedence. And we spoke much about so many things like during our by-election campaign, but they still prevail and they exist. Like, so that's taking a backseat on like for now. But definitely the approach should be on wholesome, like where we could really address every issue and concern we had in the past and now, and which we are going through. So that's something like what I want to bring it up. And definitely, like my stand is very simple and my promise is simple. I listen, act, and stand independently for what matters most to the Bowmanville and North Oshawa. So this riding deserves a strong independent voice in Ottawa, not someone who is bounded by the party lines. And I'm here to serve, not to climb. Like, let's build something together which is good for our community.
That's awesome. I appreciate that so much. And I appreciate the time that you've taken out of your campaign to prepare for this interview and to actually sit down and do both parts of our interview. And again, I just can't thank you enough for doing that. How can people reach out to you and learn more about you?
The best way to reach out and learn more about my platform and the key issues, like what I want to look at, like if elected as an MP, is by visiting my website, which is votepranaygunti.ca. And there are ways to reach out and connect and pass on the concerns. So definitely I'm going through all that list, and That's the best way to contact me. And thank you so much, Steve, for having me here today. Definitely, it's pleasure to be here. And this is one of the most important thing. Like what as a candidate, we should be able to connect to the people. And I have seen the debate, like, and the prime concern was like they weren't able to meet so many people, like what they were in the number like they were interested in. But definitely using these avenues, and it's a digital world, right? Like, and definitely no one single person can knock all the doors in in the riding. So just talk about like city of Clarington or even North Oshawa. We have 960 plus streets and more than 110,520 around like voters. So just imagine, like, is it really possible to knock each door? And definitely, like, there would be a concern from each door, like, which we should be really looking forward to hearing. But like, I'm a very pragmatic, like, and like, we should be practical, right? Like, and we have avenues to reach out, whether to your representatives or me, getting in touch with the constituents. So we should use that platforms, like every platform, on how to reach out and get the things what you deserve. And definitely, I'll try to knock as many doors as I can in this election or even in future. But one thing I want to remind, like, all the constituents is like, no, see, and no, I don't think like even any candidate could really knock all the doors. But definitely, like, yeah, we have avenues like where we could learn, we could contact, and we could message, and we could raise. Please use that. And definitely, I'm here to listen and act on it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I do make the case with every candidate that I can reach somehow that, even a TikTok gets, 100, one that I posted last night's already had in excess of 132 views. So that's pretty good for an hour's investment, never mind the number of views that the actual interviews get. And I look at that as, what would you do in an hour of door knocking? And
Yeah.
we can probably be more efficient than an hour of door knocking. So I appreciate that you accept that vision, and that you've taken the time to, again, prepare for this interview, and then sit down with me and record the two interviews, part 1 and 2. And then, I appreciate the fact that you are putting your name out there to get another voice out there for people to listen to consider for this election. Without people like you, there would be no point in having an election. So thank you, Pranay, for doing that. Thank you for being here, and wish you all the best over the next number of days prior to the vote.
Thank you so much, Steve, and thanks a lot, as you've been doing for, like, at least from the time I started running in elections. Like, you're one of those like who reach out and try to get the candidate's perspective, and also get in touch. Like, that's a bridge, right? Like, between the constituents and the candidates. Definitely, this is something which is very crucial, and I truly, like, I want to thank you from like for whatever that you've been doing for years now. Thank you.
Thank you.